Happy anniversary, St. Louis. 6 years ago today, the Cup came home.
Hey, this is Bryn Chen.
Subscribe to Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues here in the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today on Locked On Blues, it is the annual episode that we do every single June 12th since 2019 called We Went Blues Day. Yes, it is the 6-year anniversary of when the St. Louis Blues defeated the Boston Bruins in that Game 7 at TD Garden and were able to hoist the Stanley Cup for the first time in franchise history. It is a very symbolic, historic, monumentous day, and it's my favorite day, honestly, of doing my podcast because it brings me so much joy. So let's get into everything about the St. Louis Blues winning Lord Stanley Cup. Okay, so let's just reminisce first off on the entirety of that cup run. And I have some statistics, right? Because I feel like while that Game 7 was, in my opinion, my favorite game in Blues history, there was a lot of other things that went down throughout the playoffs. So the record in the 2019 playoffs for St. Louis was 16-10. They had 76 goals. They led in 70. The power play was at a 16%. Honestly, 13 for 80, not so great. But again, I always nitpick on that. And I'm like, okay, Haley, like literally chill. They won the cup. The PK was good, 78%. They were 54-64. So we love that. They had a lot of road wins, as we know. They had 10, which tied an NHL record for the most road wins in a single postseason. We can't talk about the playoffs without mentioning Ryan O'Reilly. He was also the Conn Smythe winner. He had 23 points with 8 goals and 15 assists. 26 games he played in. And also his face-off percentage was at a 53.9%. So the most notable thing, though, about Ryan O'Reilly was that he scored in 4 straight Stanley Cup final games, 4 through 7. So, again, insane. Jaden Schwartz, I miss him. I will say that I do miss him a lot. You know, it's really funny when it comes to Jaden Schwartz because he's one of those players, when I look back on our cup run, I get not emotional, but I miss him. He had 12 goals, led the team in goals. He had 20 points. Now, again, I like this because he had a hat trick against Winnipeg in Game 6 in the first round. And not for nothing, but we just love scoring hat tricks against Winnipeg. And we don't talk about this year, even though we had a Hattie. Thanks, Bushi. Anyways, Alec Pietrangelo, he had 16 points, 3 goals, 13 assists. Ice time was high for Alex, okay? 25 minutes and 45 seconds. Obviously, he was the captain of the Blues. So for me, again, that's what you're supposed to do as a captain. You're supposed to be a leader on the team. So, yeah. Goalie, Jordan Binnington. Now, when it comes to Jordan Binnington, I talk about this a lot on the podcast about his rookie year because this was his rookie year. I love Jake Allen, and I'm going to always, have a spot in my heart for Jake Allen, but Jordan Binnington was the story, right? We can talk about how the Blues were one of the worst teams. They were the worst team in the Western Conference at the end of January of that season. They were not supposed to go to the playoffs, let alone win a Stanley Cup. It was a Cinderella story, but a big factor was Jordan Binnington. His save percentage was a .914. He had 1 shutout, which was, again, insane just because, I feel like in the playoffs to have a shutout win, it's, in my opinion, more rare than not, so good for him. He was the first rookie goalie to win 16 games in a single postseason. Game 7, Stanley Cup Finals, 32 saves on 33 shots. Insanity. The first round, the Blues defeated the Jets 4-2, something that the Blues could not do against the Jets this year. Listen, I am in so much pain when I think about this year, and I try not to be, but I'm going to just focus on the fact that in 2019, we did beat the Jets in the first round, and that's all that matters. Round 2, oh my gosh, do you remember round 2? Let's go talk about round 2 because I feel like that is something that we don't discuss enough because we're always kind of just talking about the game 7. So round 2, it went to 7 games, right? The Blues ended up winning 2-1, but wow, it was just such an electric game. Remember Ben Bishop? He was a net for Dallas, but the MVP and the hometown legend and hero, as I like to call him, in double OT was Patrick Maroon. It was actually tipped in off a rebound from Robert Thomas's shot. It's always Robert Thomas season. And yeah. After the game, one of the quotes that Patty said was, "I'm proud to be from St. Louis." And that game to me, it's funny. Like, of course, the game 7 and the finals was like insane, but I really thought we were going to lose. Like, I'm going to be so for real with you. I remember watching that game and I'm like, okay, this is not good. But we won! I get so excited about it. Like, I'm going to tell you, like, I get so excited about it. Vince Dunn, by the way, was the guy that scored the goal, the first goal for the Blues. But Robert Thomas was only 19 then. Insanity! Insanity! But obviously, people say that this is one of the best game 7s in NHL history to this day. And it was definitely one of the best games in my opinion. Like, it's so crazy to me. It really is. Like, I know this sounds like repetitive, but it's so hard for me not to, like, I don't know, like, I don't want to say get like flustered about, but it's like that is so insane to me. I, I don't know, like, Dallas has been good. Okay. Like, they both were really just playing great hockey, both teams. And you can't do that. Like, you have to, be able to kind of shift around the game. But it was like the defense, it was the goaltending by Bishop and Binnington, how physical the series was. It was such a physical series. I mean, if you think about it, like, Ben was on our team at one point, right? 52 saves though Bishop made in that game 7, which was like insanity. One of the honestly, like, one of the best games I think I watched an opposing goalie play. Like, that was the insane thing ever. But here's the thing. I really, really believe at the end of the day, this game was meant to be because this was the first time the Blues won a game 7 at home in franchise history. Isn't that so crazy? Like, when you think about it. And Tyler Bozak, like, he played so well defensively in that OT. Like, and then Joel Edmondson with all those hits. Oh man, I really, really, really miss this team. Okay, now I'm sad. What's funny? Like, when I do this podcast, like, I don't mean to get upset about it, but it's like sometimes I reminisce on the past, and I'm like, oh, I'm a little upset that yeah, a little upset. All right, I'm gonna talk to you more about the conference finals and of course the Stanley Cup finals. But first, I want to tell you about my friends over at Wonderful Pistachios. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no shells variety. It's the perfect grab and go snack for busy days, whether I'm snacking at my desk, prepping for this podcast, or listen, we all kind of need that quick protein boost. They're always my go-to snack. But I'm not going to lie to you, sometimes I do like cracking open the shell. So they do have that option as well for you, because I know sometimes I don't want to crack it open, and sometimes I'm like, you know what, let's crack it open. So get snacking and get cracking with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. So we talked about the first 2 rounds, and I think it's important for us to talk about round 3, because there was some controversy with round 3. So the Blues won the series 4-2. And again, just so you all are kind of aware, in this series, right, there was something called a game 3. And I refer to it as the hand pass game. So essentially, this is what went down. It was an overtime win for San Jose. Eric Carlson scored after, and it's so funny when I like say some of these players' names, because Timo is now, he went with New Jersey. He ended up hand passing the puck. It was like obvious in the build-up. No review was allowed at the time of the hand pass. And it became like the moment the Blues were just like, screw all of you. Braden Shen said, not even captain at the time, by the way, because like it was Alex. He said, we got screwed, plain and simple. And essentially that's what it was, because the Blues, and it's just so you understand, the Blues clearly, in my opinion, were the better team in that series. But that hand pass, like, the San Jose fans will defend it, which makes no sense to me, because let's be so for real. It was the most obvious no call, right? So game 4, the Blues respond with a 2-1 win at home. Ivan Barbashev and Tyler Bozak scored, and the Blues played much better defensively. And then games 5 and 6, it was all St. Louis. Like, the Blues won 5-0. Jaden Schwartz got a hat trick, second of the postseason. That's when Binnington got his shutout win. And San Jose also did lose some of their key players with Eric Carlson. He left with an injury. Thomas Hertl, Joe Pavelski, they were also banged up. And the Blues honestly just were the better team and wore them down. Saying some of these names, like, I'm like, wow, like, I kind of miss watching them play hockey. Anyways, game 6 in St. Louis, it was insane at Enterprise. Like, I was watching on TV and I was like, whoa, this is electric. David Perron, Vince Dunn, and Braden Shen led the charge. We saw a lot from Ryan O'Reilly and my boy Vladimir Tarasenko. Big move, big plays. Jordan Binnington, again, looked great. And then Ryan O'Reilly said, we're going to the Stanley Cup final. That's what we dreamed of. And this was the first look how emotional I get when I talk about this still. This was the first Stanley Cup final appearance since 1970. And, you know, we had Gloria playing. We had Lila Anderson. Like, there were so many, like, just magical moments about, just about the run. And I get emotional because I think growing up being a Blues fan, right? Like, we were always eliminated in the first round. A lot. Like, a lot. That's all I knew, really. Like, a lot. And I really thought it was just going to be another season of either not making the playoffs or a first round elimination. And for every hockey fan, and I hate to get emotional, but this is what sports is. For every hockey fan, you want to see your team hoist the Stanley Cup. That's the goal. And I think for me, it was bigger than just Blues hockey at that moment. It was my passion. It was my everything. It still is. I do this podcast because being a Blues fan, I love talking about my Blues. But there was just so much emotion that went into it. So when the Blues did win that game 6 and they advanced after beating San Jose, the reality hit me of they're going to win this. It's not going to be easy because it was Boston who they were up against. Nonetheless, no Stanley Cup final, in my opinion, is like easy per se, but they had to win 4 more games. That was it. Win 4 and going off of what I was saying, I see it's so emotional and so real and so raw. But that was the mentality. Win the next 4 games. And that is what this team did. Spoiler alert, the Blues won. Like, obviously. I don't know why I even was debating it. But the series began on May 27th and concluded on June 12th, 2019. We won the series 4 games to 3. And now, oh my goodness. And after 52 seasons, the Blues won their first Stanley Cup. So let's talk about the games, right? Game 1, it was at Boston. Bruins won 4-2. Okay. Game 2 at Boston. Guess what? The Blues won in OT. Thank you, Gunnarsson. Appreciate you. Game 3 in St. Louis. It was ugly. It was ugly. It really was ugly. The Bruins won 7-2. Like, Game 4, in my opinion, was the turning point. The Blues ended up winning in Game 4, 4-2. And Ryan O'Reilly scored twice, including the game winner. And Jordan Binnington, just bounced back after that embarrassment. It was bad. And the Blues were able to even the series 2-2. And that gave me hope again. Because, let's be so for real, that was really bad. And it was also the only win the Blues had at home, by the way, in the finals. So, Game 4, obviously important. Game 5, Jordan Binnington. The Blues won Game 5 2-1, right? But Binnington had 38 saves. Dave Perron scored the winner. And there was this controversy. Oh, there was a missed trip before the goal. Shut up. It gave the Blues a 3-2 series lead, heading back to St. Louis with a chance for the Blues to win the whole thing. However, that did not happen. As we all thought, wow, the Blues are going to win at home. Guess what happened? Oh, did the Bruins win? They did. And it was a 5-1 win, too. So then it forced a Game 7 on the road. And guess what? And guess what, baby? It was the greatest night in franchise history, June 12th, 2019 at TD Garden in Boston. The Blues won 4-1. In the first period, Ryan O'Reilly was able to give the Blues a 1-0 lead off of a deflection. Alex Pietrangelo was able to give the Blues a 2-0 lead with a backhand. 7 seconds left of the period, by the way. Nothing in the second frame. Captain Braden Shen. Captain Braden Shen. I love you. I appreciate you. Made it 3-0. And then Zach Stanford was able to make it 4-0. The Bruins did have a late goal, but like, who cares? 32 saves on 33 shots. First rookie goalie to ever win all 16 playoff games. First period, the Bruins were aggressive, and he made at least 10 really good saves. Alex said, "We did it. We wrote our own story." The Blues won from being the worst in the NHL on January 3rd to Stanley Cup champions on June 12th. And, it's funny. I think back to that moment, and it's just really hard not to get emotional. We think about Craig Berube coming in, and I don't mean to be on here crying. It's just it was one of the greatest nights ever, honestly. And I want us to get back there. I do. Obviously, that's the goal. And I don't think there's going to be one single Blues fan that says that's not the goal. But 6 years ago, you think about how much life has changed in 6 years. Ryan O'Reilly said, "I can't believe we did it. We worked so hard. It's every guy, not just one line, not just one player. It's all of us. This is what you dream of as a kid. The group of guys. We are earnest. We're the worst team in the league. Now we're Stanley Cup champions." I remember him saying that too. Before Game 7, Binnington had the iconic line of, "Do I look nervous?" And then he said, "This team is so special. I can't even describe it. What a ride. What a group." Alex said, "This is something we waited 52 years for. To be the team that does it, it's hard to put into words. We made history and we did it together, and that's what makes it so sweet." Pat Maroon. Oh, I love Pat. This is every kid's dream. I got to live it in my hometown with my son watching. It's the greatest feeling in the world. This one's for the city of St. Louis. This is for everyone who waited 50 years. Braden Shen said, "We just believed in each other. Everyone counted us out, but we knew we had what we had." David Perron said, "I left St. Louis twice. I came back for this group, for this moment." Tarasenko said, "All I wanted was to win the cup in the city. I love this team. I love the fans. This means everything." And then I'm going to break your heart right now because this is Craig Berube. This team has heart. They battled. They believed. I couldn't be prouder. They earned every second of this. They were relentless. That's how you win the cup. I did a lot of prep for this episode because I wanted all of you to take that journey back to that run. And despite maybe some of the frustrations we feel now, and looking ahead, I think it's also important to remember that magic does happen here in St. Louis. The Blues, they're a special team. And I am just so proud of everything that this organization has accomplished. And while there might be some other organizations that have won the cup multiple times, I'm just really proud of this team for getting the job done. And you think about Pat Maroon just being here for one season, that was it. It's crazy. Wow. All right. Well, I will talk to you tomorrow about some more recent stuff, but thank you for taking every year we do this. And this was the first year I think I got a little emotional. Um you just think about 6 years, and you think about your life in 2019, and you think about who was with you and who's no longer here anymore. And as we get older, and again, hockey, it does relate to life. There's a lot of people that are no longer here, and I think this year, I know that you and I, we talk every day, but sometimes there's personal, things that happen in life, and you just think back to a time. And the one thing that I know I always have is my blues. So I appreciate you all. I love you all. And guess what? We're Stanley Cup champions of 2019. All right, I will talk to you later. And like always, let's go Blues.